Hello and welcome from Regenera Rising to you. This is Evo Heyning, joined today with Tara and Serena. Hello, it's wonderful to be joined here by both of you as we explore some of the art and creative experiences inside Regenera and inside the Design Science Studio's work with Habritual and all of our amazing creators at the Collaboratory. Serena, Tara, how are you doing today?
I'm very, very good. I'm very happy because it's amazing to have this moment to show around people what we've been creating and what all the people have been putting so much effort in. And yeah, I'm amazing to see all the wonder things that are there.
I'm right there with Serena in the sense, I think it's been like 8 or 9 months of work that's been coming in from over 144 creators. We've been getting these sneak peeks of, what's been going on in the city with what Nico's been designing and everything. So I can't wait to have a look today. I know I've been like parts of bits and pieces, and we've got little architectural pieces going on as well. But I'm excited to see all of it for the first time with you today with virgin eyes.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are not familiar with what we are talking about, all of us here have been a part of something called Regenera and Regenera Rising this week. And that includes an amazing world of art that you will be able to find. And you can find out more at Regenera.art. And if you're interested in the regenerative art movements that you're exploring here today, there are also links, and we're going to be sharing those throughout the day at Regenera.art. So I am going to take us to a screen shared world of art that is created by some of our creators here today. And let's see how this looks inside. All right. So we are inside Topia together, and I'm wondering if the two of you could share a little bit of, I'm going to walk us around, but I was wondering if you could share a little bit of what we're seeing and a little bit of how this all fits together.
Serena, why don't you go first, my dear? I know you've done so much of the illustrative work.
Well, I've done just a few, but I'm still amazed about the fact that all these little pieces have been doing sometimes by the artists that made the project, sometimes by other artists, but they are just incredible, beautiful scenes of what the projects are about. And it's incredible how some people just sent a form explaining what they wanted to say, what they wanted to see there, and they've been accomplished completely. All these little pieces are a very important image of what the project is like, and it's just amazing to have the chance to walk in a world that is filled with all these amazing projects and have the chance to talk with other people while you wander there around.
There's Tara. Look at you, raised to participate and collaborate. So, Serena, what was your role in this experience? How did you get involved, and what did you contribute to this?
Well, the amazing things about the Design Science Studio is that we've been in contact the whole time. So for my project, I kind of first a bit of urgency, and I finished it, I felt secure a bit earlier, 2 weeks ago. So I said, okay, I'm free. I can help with whatever is needed. And so Nico asked me to make a few of the assets, and I was very happy to do that. So I made Melissa's one and Elias ones, and also Ada Paris one. So these three are there around, and was just after I sent the one for my project. And it's actually very amazing to do little doodles that are kind of an architecture of an imaginary world, and that can invite people to explore what people have been working so hard on. So I've been just very happy to be part of it. And most of it is by Nico and Caro and all the single artists that contribute to it. And there's nothing in there that is not beautiful and amazing. So I don't know what else I can say that is not wow.
It is beautiful. I'm astonished at the different styles that have come together into this world. And we are in the art gallery right now, but are there 5 different worlds inside Topia? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How many different spaces are there?
Go for it, Siri.
Yeah, you go with that. Don't worry. Yeah, like it's been amazing how, like, in the previous salon, there was only one single word, and then all the projects were there. But now all these things have been split in different areas that are a bit more reflective the main core of the project of the different participants of Design Science Studio. And yeah, like when you find a little like that thing balloon, you will be able to fly from one word to another. There are currently 5, and each of them has a different core, different atmosphere, we could say, even if the topic words are all like nice looking. And yeah, like all of them are kind of different cities but connected together.
That makes a lot of sense. So, Tara, would you help us contextualize a little bit of how this all fits together with your work and your world?
Well, I mean, okay, that's a really deep question, as always, my darling Evo, because just like for everybody watching, first of all, as a quick context, like I think Evo is one of my fave immersive producers, and as somebody who's working with creativity and impact in producing, I'm always fascinated by how even my mind seemed to tend to come into metadata and bring it all together. So this question coming from her right now is a joke. But yeah, I mean, just as Siri was sharing, Topia is for me, it's like, first of all, the manifestation of the world we wish to see and the world we can create by all of us coming together. And it's such a strong metaphor for what the Design Science Studio, Habritual, and of course, Bucky's Institute is trying to do. For me, Topia really sits as a metaphor, but also in a very generous way as an MVP, a minimal viable product for so many artists to be able to showcase what they envision their work to look like. I remember when we were talking about it with Roxy and Nico and the entire team, the idea that we would have had one space dedicated to Buckminster Fuller's lab. You know, people like me who've been studying his work for ages now and who have incorporated it into our agencies, into our work in terms of world building, understanding geodesic patterns in nature, understanding what the concept of moving from weaponry into artifacts of livingry is. The idea of bringing the Dimaxians, which, for example, you'll see as we go down Topia, is how one stream of the project that I was creating really cements and this homage and relationship to Buckminster Fuller's futuristic visions. It houses all of that. Then you've got one segment called the Agora, which has a place for people who want to sort of come in and bring their philosophizing, their creative ideation, their future strategies, etc., to come and discuss. You've got folks like Stephen Bauer who are just doing this incredible kind of societal building and bringing communities together. Then, if I remember correctly, we've got the Regenerative Cabaret, which is where the music happens, the celebrations happen, etc., etc. Then you've got, like, if I remember correctly, Nico's pièce de résistance, which is Natura, which is showing how we can have new communities living really aligned with nature, which resonates, again, very deeply with my heart. And what am I forgetting? There's Agora, there's Bucky's Lab, there's the Cabaret, there's what else am I forgetting?
Let's see. Agora, Mora, which is the Museum of Regenerative Art. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so and that is one piece that I know that all of you have been intimately involved with that is still opening. So I want to speak about Emergence and how this is a collective work in progress a little bit, so that we can contextualize a little bit more. Those of us who have been a part of the Design Science Studio at the Buckminster Fuller Institute, we have been carefully guided through a process through Habritual producing, specifically Roxy and Nico and Faith and a number of amazing people at BFI supporting Amanda Joy Ravenhill, creating a process for all of us to dive deeper into a cross-disciplinary immersive incubator. And these are works in progress. So some of these works are video form, some of them are immersive in XR, some of them are 2D art, some of them are designs for fashion, for architecture, for future installations of works that are to come as well. Serena, I know that I would love to see a little bit more of your work. So I'm going to let you speak a little bit, and I'm going to drive again in Topia as we explore some of the other worlds, because I believe we need to find those air trams to move between the spaces, if I recall correctly.
Yes. Well, like my project is actually a physical installation, so it's been very hard to find the right way to represent it in this digital world. But actually, the fact that we are in a pandemic year is is moving me a lot to think about what are the things that we can create that are still giving us a glance of a real experience, but they're actually still digital without having that kind of detachment of the digital space that sometimes can have. And so I think it's so amazing when we've been told that we were going to have a 3D work, which is the New York City island that we could be able to visit very soon. And so I decided to have a 3D installation there, which was a sort of demo of what my project was actually going to be. I wanted to make something that could involve with people, with their senses, with their practice, with the way they could experience scientific things in reality. And it's very hard because I ended up adding some videos and the dramaturgical net that kind of guide the audience in a 3D installation, but it's not the same. There are still so many things that we are missing. But I really think that these tools are so important to give us a chance to show the world what our ideas are before we actually put them into the real world. And at the same time, it's a way to know that when we are trying to achieve something, we are going to the right direction. Because whenever we present our project in these amazing events, it's kind of like finding a family that share the same values, the same, that is trying to do the same effort to bring society into a world that it's better, that could work for really 100% of life. And it's happening in so many expressions. Like everyone has a project that is so different from the other, but we're all aiming to the same thing. So this is the most beautiful part of it. And so if you walk very down in this world, you're going to find this double spiral, which is the final configuration of my installation. And it's how the real space will be. Of course, if the project is going to happen, but I hope it will. And the same double spiral, the Fibonacci spiral, is being found in the 3D Mora world.
Wow. Am I seeing the right works right now? Or tell me what I'm looking at.
Where are you at the moment? It's
I'm in Natura, and I see, if you can see the screen right now, I see some things that look a little bit like ammonite shells and things that look almost like Dr. Seussian things that came from the deep.
Yeah, these things are all amazing. I suggest my project is in Bucky's lab, and it's at the very bottom of the word.
Oh, it's in Bucky's lab? Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to head over there next because I'm in Natura right now. So let's go to Bucky's lab.
Also great steering. Thanks, Eva.
I do it again here. Let's see how this goes. Some of these worlds, it's my first time getting to. Is this the right? No, this is not right. It looks like it's put us in a generic place.
Yes, I believe so.
That was interesting because I didn't go straight from an airship. It's doing some. It's taking me the other way. So I'm going to have to find the airships to go between these things effectively. Or I believe the help desk does that too. So if you're navigating Topia for the first time, you can do this with friends. It's a social space. You can turn on your video cam and talk to people. You can do that with friends remotely. And so this is a virtual art experience that you can share. There are performances, live cast videos, music, poetry, a pretty wide variety of things going on there. So click on the signs, but what I'm looking for is how to go between these worlds effectively.
Hold on.
Any recommendations on how to find those air trams between the worlds?
Hold on. First of all, I think this is an incredibly helpful session for anyone like me who would get lost over here. But I'm trying to find if we go from the help desk. I think when we land, we go straight into the Agora.
I actually found out that if you click in the little word there in the left bottom that you actually have a sight of all the words that are in this Topia right now. In the little icon that you find.
The little icon of Topia, where's that?
On the left-hand side.
On the left-hand side.
Serena, is that what you mean, darling? When we go, Eva, if you look to the left of your sub-screen and you see the settings, you'll see a little world icon.
Yeah.
There we go. And then, yes, we should be able to.
So I have tab, but I actually don't have Bucky's World properly linked yet. So I'm going to go back to Regenera.art, where that one I know is a connecting point for all of these worlds. And I'm pretty sure I can find it back from here. So often when you start out, you're going to start out here at the Design Science Studio and at what we call the Regenera deck, which is sort of like a loading dock of sorts where you can find out more about the Design Science Studio as well. But I remember not only do we have our lovely friends Ava and Gloria over here in terms of story and being those guides for you, you're welcome to click on them as well. I believe, let's see.
There we go. Help desk.
Yeah, so is there a good way to navigate from this section here? I don't think there is.
I think if we're able to possibly, hold on, you're right there for a sec. Let me try to support.
Yeah, so I think you have to go to the airships, and here's one of them. So that's going to be what I need.
There we go. So I know we're in Agora, if that's easy.
I think it's.
So I know.
Serena, is your work in the village? Is Bucky's lab in the village?
I know it's really close to Agora. This I can say for sure.
Oh, it's in the Agora.
It's
Bucky's
right
lab is inside the Agora.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I want to say.
Well, I'm glad I asked because I was looking for it the other day too, and I wasn't quite sure. So because these spaces aren't physical spaces, they're virtual spaces, they don't map the same way. And creating maps of these spaces can be very challenging. Serena, is this the first time you've created in a world like Topia?
Yes, this is the first time. I didn't get the chance to do it when we built in Topia for the previous saloon, and I was like, oh my god, why I haven't done it? Because it's so exciting to walk in. And so I was like, am I going to do my assets now? Because I really want to be in there. I want to be part of these amazing cities.
Wow. So we just saw a virtual Bauhaus museum. Here's Stroopy's work, Unboxing Reality.
So I know the Recreators build, which is our project, is really close to Stephen's work. So you'll see the big Bauhaus Agora, and then Recreators is right there.
Okay.
And then if I
see you, Lumbus.
Yeah.
We have found you.
And I think if I remember correctly, the project that Serena was talking about is a little bit further south from there. But if we are at Recreators, I'll happily stop.
Yeah, I would love for you to tell us more. So it looks like I need to re-share our screen here because that is not showing up properly with the new site.
You're a star.
So let's look at it now again.
There's just so much detail to this world. This is what blows my mind every time I get into Topia in the last few weeks, that there's so much detail and there's so many people who've been working at it, diligently thinking about each other's works in synergy with our own. There's so much collective collaboration that's gone on in this space. And I think it's such an important tool for creators and artists that's being created. Seriously. It's so hard for people to have like big builds like this, for example, be manifested and shown to stakeholders, et cetera, et cetera. That's
Wow.
really-
So I'm getting a sense that what Recreators is a center of sorts. Can you tell me a little bit about your vision for Recreators?
I sure can, Eva, but it's so much fun to hear you also presume around it, because that's always idea sparking. Recreators is an ongoing project from Lembus, our agency, which has for the last 8 years been sort of driving creative and cultural practices to spearhead and accelerate the global goals. And what we're trying to do is create these regenerative frameworks to break down silos in existing industries and completely transform arts, entertainment, and urban spaces into becoming catalysts for environmental regeneration and planetary health. For Lembus, of course, we've always seen this as a four-pronged approach, and I think this particular build of Recreators becomes one of the greatest metaphors for that approach. We've always thought that like arts, creative practices, experiences, conceptual shows are one of the greatest vehicles for getting education to communities, breaking down, demystifying, decomplexifying complex issues like climate change. How do you start to talk about gender equity? How do you talk about equity creation for communities? 4 years ago, we started to look at, I was creating a couple of other projects, and it was really beginning to frustrate me that, to be perfectly honest, that I was putting things like plant-based music, bioacoustics, neurobiofeedback and shows, working with interactive installations and getting people's feedback and making creations out of that. And in spite of all that, there was this big elephant sitting in the room, which was the kind of resources that are being utilized to create environmental change. And that's when Recreators really began. We started to think about how we could take our work, and especially in production and ecotech and innovation, and start to create movements of environmental restoration in urban spaces. Buckminster Fuller has always been a really big inspiration for us in terms of creating the kind of connections that drive the greatest resources in the shortest possible pathways to the greatest amount of people. So Recreators has actually had, we also have Bowie joining us, forgive me. Recreators began 3 years ago when we were doing this flagship project, bringing governments and business chambers together to have industry showcases. And we asked the basic question, how can we actually transform these spaces into permanent greenhouses or start to facilitate urban organic farms? Is there a way for us to bring ecological education, spotlights for traditional stewards? Very often impact creators who are not able to get the kind of platforms that influencers do in the impact field. And Recreators was born. This particular stream sort of comes in completely inspired by Buckminster Fuller, but also Amanda Joy's vision and Roxy's vision, to sort of build these co-creative spaces. Once I started working on this build, I became completely fascinated by the Dimaxin series, as in the Dimaxin map, that really brings the world together, in the shortest possible connections. So we started to visualize green fields that could have hyperlocal botanical species, bring together information from stewards from indigenous communities, bring botanists, ecologists, scientists to the forefront, and really put our arts and cultural practices in service of growing again. This particular build houses the perfect alignment, the way I see it, between how I hope for the natural and built worlds to exist. The Dimaxin House, again, is a really flagship vision from Buckminster Fuller, but there's only one physical prototype, if I remember correctly, that exists, and it's at the Henry Ford Museum. Now, my partner in life and work, Remy, he's been doing a lot of research with the geodesic domes and the kind of mediated matter that we can use to upcycle spaces in neighborhoods that are completely debilitated. And we started to explore how this could become a neighborhood resuscitation project, paying an homage to the Dimaxin House and making that the cultural framework for people to come in and have artistic experiences, have cultural, strategic, societal architecture building experiences as well, through what we call our regenerative frameworks for creating a purpose as an evolving manifesto that's been 8 years in the making. The heart of what lives inside the Dimaxin is to be revealed in the Mora build once it's ready. So I really look forward to sharing that with you. But it is an homage and an educational experience, as well as a healing, restorative experience with biofeedback tested imagery, plant-based scores, color gradients, so using semiotic strategies as well, to have a completely synesthetic experience that invites people to come in and just heal, restore, learn ecological education, and then go back and show them ways on how they can create in their homes and how we will be creating in urban spaces as well. The Dimaxian map sort of comes in as a juxtaposition and allows communities to come and play in games that will be revealed with each build. So every time that we create one of these, there will be something fresh and new for people around the world while allowing things to grow. And there's a lot more attached to this, but I'm going to keep that for another day.
So this is just the beginning, and I believe we are going to pick up next week with a tour of Mora, the Museum of Regenerative Art and Experiences that is opening, and that is in a platform called New Art City. For those of you who have been exploring Regenera throughout the week, New Art City has 2 separate destinations, including a space called Cohere. And Serena, that's where your work is as well, right?
Yes, exactly.
We're not going to go there today. We're going to do that in the 3rd tour. But I was wondering if you could tell us just a little bit about Cohere and what you've been working on there as well.
Well, as you know, this is a virtual world are trying to embody the beautiful storytelling that we'll be trying to push behind this regenerarizing festival. I like to call it a festival. So that you're going to enter this floating island, which has been amazingly designed by the amazing people of Design Science Studio and all the people that are working in it. And it's just an amazing kind of open museum where there are lots of pieces of art. Some of them are installations, some of them are just videos, some of them are properly sculpture, 3D sculpture. But the most important thing is that the new thing about this platform is that you can just click on the piece of art that you see and you get relinked to the real project, the real website. And you have the chance to just walk around, talk with people. There's a little chat there, so you can still have some interaction with all the people that are visiting it. And it's a bit more intense than a real museum because you really get to get in contact with what the project is and what is behind it. And there's been a lot of work that's been doing by Roxy, by everyone that is behind it, and we can just wait to have it open. So we really, really hope that everyone is going to enjoy it.
I'm excited. I have not had a chance to install everything that I intend to there either. And I know that many of us have been in this sort of creative soup, right? It's like letting it cook and cook and cook until it feels ready. When we are creating new works and experiences, there is this experimentation process that is, it's part of the puzzle. And it sometimes doesn't make for an easy experience sometimes when people are in this early stage. So Serena, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about where we can find your art and work beyond Regenera in this week.
Yes, like if you go in Mora, you're gonna find it just in the center island of Coira, and there you will find all the links. But actually, all the information are in the website that is sere.trepiedi/wix site/micromegas, and there you will find a little information about what the project is about. That is called Micromegas, and is about the text that Voltaire wrote in the late 18th century, and is considered the very first Shi-Fi piece of art. And it's a journey between the macro and the mega world. In the installation, you will see some videos accompanied by the amazing voice of Giovanni Firpo, who helped me with dramaturgy as well. And what is really the aim of these journeys, while we are accompanied by this amazing island from a far world, is to learn how our point of view as humans sometimes can get wrong, because we consider ourselves a bit to the center of what the creation is, but actually we need to refine our connection with the world inside us and outside us. So you find all the information there, and I will probably put some videos soon of how the installation works in Mora. And yes, everything is there.
So exquisite. Oh, Eva, my love, we lost you for a sec on a muted mic. Eva, we lose you. Your mic is muted.
Of course it is. That's how it works.
Always working well.
Too many clicking windows at once. Serena, if you want to put your URL backstage, I will put it in the stream so that everyone can visit. Yes. And then for those of you who are looking for the Museum of Regenerative Arts, there are a handful of links. That experience is open, but there are more artworks coming into it. So I want to preface that the experience is there and yet still coming forward. So if you want to drop your links here in the back chat, I will go ahead and share them. But you can also certainly find all of this through the sites that we're sharing right now. Now, where we are is Regenera.art. This is the site that we're currently looking at. And if you go to the top of this page, there's a nice little link over to both our schedule, to our virtual worlds, and to the Design Science Studio. And the Design Science Studio is a little bit more of what we've actually been taking a look at today in terms of these artists and how we've all sort of come together over the past now 7 months, I think. Is that correct, ladies?
Oh, my Lord. Yeah. We're almost at the 9-month birthing mark at this point. Serena, has it been 9 months?
We started in August, so yeah, it's almost 9, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'm going to include a link to Serena's art, and I highly recommend that you get over to Mora. It is open, but I recommend that you wait maybe a few days. We're going to do another tour of the Mora spaces as they are completed. And Mora, which is the Museum of Regenerative Art, is linked both in Topia and also at Regenera.art. So we hope that you'll check that out. That is in the platform called New Art City, which is also an immersive platform. There are some very interesting works there. We did a first show there for a salon in January, February. And then this is a screenshot from Mora, and you will see that there are a number of structures like this that include some interesting immersive art pieces that are quite beautiful.
It's an extraordinary world that's being built. I'll go even further and share that, you know, as we've been putting up some of our builds and we're watching the Design Science team and its partnerships like work the back ends, just floating into the Mora, even while it's being built, is such an extraordinary experience. Some parts of that really make me think of Laurie Anderson's work sometimes, you know, where you feel these like drop dead gravity shifts. And it's almost like going back to the creation, or the pun not intended, recreation of new worlds. And it's just, yeah, I cannot recommend the experience enough to anyone.
So I liked this way in which Roxy and the team stated this: the Museum of Regenerative Art is what would be created if MoMA were born today. So it is absolutely an experiential, an experimental, an immersive space. And you will see that there is two different spaces, Cohera and Autopoiesis. I'm mispronouncing that. Is it Autopoiesis? Is that correct?
Don't ask the Italian, please.
Literature student will venture a guess and say autopoiesis, but I'm going to wait for everyone to sort of resound back on social media and let us know whether we hit the mark or not.
Oh, that's a great way to talk about what is meta.
Right? I can't wait for people to start to see your project and see how mind-bogglingly it brings together everything as well. I've often sort of said, if Recreators and what we do at Lembis is architecture, art, science, tech, and culture design, then what you do with Meta is just bringing all of these worlds together in virtual reality. And it's what's really exciting about right now is these kind of new frameworks that we're all being able to develop around each other.
Yeah, still the cooperation of this project is amazing. Like with Maura, it's been so beautiful because I helped a bit in positioning things. So I am the only one that is like working in the chat time. So every morning I'm like, okay, what has been done till now? What is left? I need to move because they are sleeping, they are resting. And this is like one of the most amazing things that has been happening in the cohort this year, because when you get involved, you feel like you are covering a piece of what is gonna be. So you just feel like no one is working this time. Okay, it's mine. I need to do my best. So
very much so, very, very much so. I mean, and it really is like a culture design experience in that sense, because it's not like your world can live in isolation. Like I remember when I was doing some of the music scores for Recreators, Roxy and I was showing her this program that we were doing for, having music rise from 12 different spaces in one building in a different project. And she had this really great reflection of what it would be like to have these scores rise up in a world that spins together. And we had, it gave us this deep dive of the conversation about human tunings, plant-based music, the research that we've been doing for a while on what are the kind of sounds and acoustic ecologies that are healing, not just for humans, but flora and fauna as well. And Maura sort of lives in my mind as a metaphor for that, as a living, breathing metaphor for that. And it's true. I know you work earlier than all of us, Serena, so thank you.
It's been amazing.
And thank you for staying up late with us too. I see it.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so wait, this is the first time I'm seeing this as well. Whoa. It's still being made. So this is what I meant. I mean, if in the Topia build, what we were showcasing was the urban restoration, the environmental restoration part of it, and the architectural builds, then what Maura would be revealing finally, which is where it's not at right now, would be the heart of the Dimaxians in really architectural to ecological education and science education, but also the central panel that you see will be coming up as part of the Evolving Manifesto as clear calls to actions that allow communities to steer towards one another. But it's so much more than me. I mean, this is Virpi Ketu and Petro Prezei, who are artists from Slovenia and Finland, now living in Yorkshire. The geodesic builds are, of course, done by our production team, looking at new mediated matter. We have Gamalili Sinabende advising us on the biomimicry builds. We have Dr. Alan Macy coming in with Mark David Osales, starting to work towards interactivity and neurobiofeedback design. The geodesic patterns, of course, are we're sort of now starting to build botanical features from Paul Sokolov and the inclusion in Northern research community. So it's us just holding space for a lot of other people in very similar ways, like you both are. I'm just excited to see all of it come to life.
I love how you've put this create your purpose alignment element here. This is the manifesto and how that's coming together as a participatory work. It sounds like it is both a piece of deep passion and purpose, but also a place of alignment for people.
Eva, you have this gift, my darling, and I'm always so appreciative of that, in how you bring all these disciplines together. And you're right. The manifesto is something that sort of was our cornerstone when we started in 2013 as a response to how different industries could come together to accelerate global goals again. But we realized that we had to create a roadmap for ourselves. So, what the story and the design and the commitment would do. But 8 years later, now we're rewriting the 2.0 version as a pandemic response, as a collective participatory response to the challenges, the trials, the tribulations, but also the aspirations that we've heard over the last 9 months in what became such a safe space at every design science sessions, every weekly session. You've been there. We've all been there. We've heard people like Chris Ware talking about what gender equity should be like, what acceptance should be like. Others spoken so much about future, what ancestry legacies can be like. My world about inviting participation into creating with purpose. So it just felt really topical to bring all these simple steers to action on how we can move from storytelling, production operations, policy making, development practices to really tangibly start to help each other out to shift the global goals at this stage. I'm really excited to see where the bills go.
Me too. I'm excited to see how works like what we're seeing here with Cohere become physical works, become experiential works in physical places. And Tara and Serena, you have both spoken to how these are physical spaces as well that you're designing. These are not just digital or virtual works. Can you help us see where you want to explore taking these works after Regenera and Mora?
Please, Serena, after you, my dear.
Oh, well, my goal would be to have this sort of installation in the science museums, because I really think that we need to work on the place where we need to make the effort to let art meet what is considered completely separate from it, and where actually most of wonder is and most of things to learn are. So my installation is actually based on the very base of scientific demonstration, scientific visualization as well. So I would really love to have this work developed in a place where very simple scientists, very simple experiments are put in a workshop where art is the art of what we're trying to do, not teaching. Because through art you can teach, and through art you can give experience that give people let an inspiration to what can be done, and to what can be imagined, and what can be copied from nature and from what the real world is.
So this is a installation, an audiovisual immersive experience. There is sound, and it's almost like a sound bath, like some sort of like taking you through a portal to another world. This is beautiful, by the way, Serena. I love this. This is my first time seeing it, so I'm excited to see. So micromegas, is that what you call this?
Yeah, micromega or micromegas.
This is potentially a museum work or something that could be installed down the line.
Yes, exactly. And as you see, there are 4 stations, and in this 4 station, there's the voice of micromegas united with these videos that contain some art, some science things that are are possible to be done in an experimental environment. So these are actually visualization of sound waves, which can very easily be done in the water. And the first station is about magnetic visualization of the magnetic field by the iron filling, which can also be done just with a little magnet and a paper and some iron filling. And lots of things can just be so easy to achieve and so wonderful to watch while you actually are the power that moves them around. And this can teach you around. And the nice things that I love about the text from Voltaire Micromegas that I try to put in this installation is the fact that at the end of his journey on art, it gives to human a book, which he called a book of admirable things. And in the story is actually an empty book, because it's trying to tell humans that you need to learn yourself what are the important things that nature has to teach you. You don't have to actually make questions and ask for answer. So I make this book because this is a sort of return of Micromega on art. I like at the end of this installation, you will find a link to a collective book that I put on Google Doc. And I really hope that like kids or people that have little invention, little ideas, have found something interesting in the world can actually feel it, because it's a completely open and completely able to be filled by everyone. Kind of feel it as a way of making a collective knowledge or a collective experimental word.
Mm-hmm.
I love how your work is in a spiral and then points back to all of these other patterns that we saw both in Bucky's work and throughout. You're playing with ideas around cymatics, it looks like, as well, in your musical work. And I apologize, the media has gotten a little wonky sometimes, so I've had to step in and out sometimes as we put pieces together. So I am going to be coming in here to install a piece tomorrow as part of the new Meta Movie project. And I'm excited to be next to you here in Mora.
Yeah.
So this is beautiful. I can absolutely see this type of installation going well into a museum for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really
Tara, could you tell us a little bit of your plans for Recreators sort of in our physical spaces and cities?
Oh, very much so. And you're in a very timely place, actually, because City as a project with Elias Katan and Tayer is one of the extensions of Recreators in that sense, being its own independent project, but we get to have the joy of partaking in it as well. Recreators is a vision, especially with that particular build, we're looking at, of course, physical iterations in existing art spaces. But for example, just as this morning, we were sitting with one of our partners in Winnipeg, as a project that will really come back and do what it promises to do, which is transform recreational environments into planetary regenerative environments. The physical builds will absolutely aim to be neighborhood resuscitation efforts or transforming recreation spaces or existing art spaces, whether you are in a museum, in a real estate build, in a performing arts venue that's going to waste, or again, as we were seeing this morning, in a warehouse that is being broken down, to become a transformative arts and ecological education space while growing and bringing back recreational spaces to enhance biodiversity. This is the goal. But it also lives in interior arts and gallery-like spaces, art fairs and biennials, again, to sort of bring back new permanent stations for us to be able to bring back environmental restoration. Because at the end of the day, this is the call of the hour. Everything that we're doing to deal with climate change right now, every single iteration that is happening has to lean into the kind of scaling of the kind of resources we're using, how are we being able to measure those in how much it's giving back? And that's really where Recreators rests at this stage. It is a check and balance for us as we create, and it's going to inform us in real time as other projects of this nature have. But we are looking at physical, digital iterations. What I think may be really interesting is, and I think this will resonate with you, Eva, as well, is that, of course, as you're seeing the fractal patterns come down and redefine the globe, and the fact that we're going to have biomimicry builds based on biomorphic patterns, of course, come in and bring us back to nature and have nature re-educate us. What's really interesting and informing us for this particular project right now is how we're going to move from streaming to creating and producing content, exactly, that can have fractal effects and can really start to lower carbon footprints as a form of renewed digital health as well. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can picture recreator stations in parks that connect to an augmented reality game like Niantic and the sort of AR space that we've seen with Pokemon Go, and using those kinds of, this is exactly why we formed Playable Agency, to figure out how to make our public spaces playable, and how do we then create connecting spaces. People can have that cross-pollination like we've had together at the Design Science Studio. I could see this going easily around the world to be something that exists within the public commons everywhere.
But Eva, I mean, as always, you just hit on the heart of the matter, as you so artfully do. That is the sole purpose of Recreators and of Lembas in general. Everything that we create, we want to be able to create platforms for our community to thrive and grow. So it is very much an experience of, as we play and we try to grow with ecological education, in that sense, we also start to recreate and grow and give back to the land responsibly and to the people who are the true stewards of that land, but most importantly to our community as well. So, you know, where projects like yours, City, etc., can spark and around, so that we become cause and effects for each other. This is the capacity building that we have to leave as a legacy, as far as I'm concerned. And between the two of you, you're doing it so wonderfully as well.
Well, I'm so glad that you were both able to join me for part 2 of what is going to be a 3-part tour of these spaces. As you can see, the work that is happening here at Mora is amazing, and it is work in progress. These are digital installations, in some cases of physical places, and in other respects, such as my work, they are links between worlds, links between metaverses and places where we can then simulate or imagine the futures we want to create. So whether it's digital, physical, hybrid, all of the above, I'm just honored to be a part of this experience with you. We're going to wrap up shortly, but are there any parting words you would like to leave with our community? We are going to follow up with a 3rd section of this tour in a few days, but anything as we begin to look at Regenera and how it all connects into some larger body of work together.
Well, like, I would feel like saying, I know that, like, sometimes, as we said, there's so much, and so much is being created that in the first moment, this work can be a bit, like, confusing or too much. Just please try and stay a bit, try and look around a bit, because all the things that you're going to find there are amazing. All the people that be working there have done the best of their jobs, or even more than that. And so once you take a bit an understanding how the words are built, it's really worth it to stay there a while and look around and check all the projects. And please, when you visit the Regenera, trying to aim and find something that is connected to you, to your virtue, and connect with the artist, because this is where the magic happens, when, like, you do something and you get a feedback from the people that visit it. So I really hope that everyone will be around and interact and like this.
That's so lovely. I have 2 parting shots. One for the project, but I'm going to quickly dive into that, hoping that at some point we also get to hear either you talk about Meta Movie, because it's a very, very important link for everybody's projects. I'm just going to drop that wish out over there. And to everybody who's listening, I mean, all I know from the last 9 months is that as we're recovering from the pandemic, hopefully, and seeing the effects of the last years of human production and development, please remember that this is a space that has been created very lovingly, as Serena was sharing, that has become a sacred space of mutual reciprocity. and nurturing. It's one of the rare times I've known it to happen in as ambitious a plan as this. So yes, please do come, please do partake. Please share forward the works of all these artists with the kind of acknowledgement, transparent credit that they all deserve, that we all deserve. And please visit each person's social media, each person's projects, and help us take this forward, because this is not a one cohort, 1 year program. This is a decade that is being built by a group of people who really want to see a different world. That's what I have to say.
Beautiful. You're muted, Eva.
See, this is what happens when I'm doing 2 things at once. So thank you for helping us understand that we are at the beginning of the design science decade. We've all been in collaboration now for going on 8 months, 9 months. But you are all invited to now be a part of that experience. And you can come to Topia, New Art City, come to our Zoom sessions like this. There's a great session happening right now in Zoom. There's the Vision Train 24/7 with visionary painters from around the world. We hope that you will plug in some way. And the next Design Science Studio group is going to be coming from many of you who are participating now. Yes. So if you're interested in being a part of future cohorts and future activities, I hope that you will plug in, get in touch with the Design Science Studio and with Habritual, specifically with Roxy and Nico, because they have just done a phenomenal job of bringing us all together and herding the cats, so to speak, in the virtual space. So thank you for giving us such a great tour of Regenera. So if you're looking for this world, this is Regenera at Regenera City. You're going to click over to those cute little air tram looking devices. And at that point, you will be taken to the different worlds, and you can then check out all of the wonderful activities like the Vision Train with Amanda. You can check out what we just saw at Mora and the Museum of Regenerative Art. And you can check out as well what's been happening in Topia, like we saw earlier. Thank you. Thank you, Tara, Serena, for all of your creative love. This is work of love. This is work of honor and purpose and care to create better worlds. And thank you for all that you bring to that work. I want to wrap up by just saying a special thank you to the rest of our organizers who are not on this stream, but will be on future streams, especially to Roxy and Nico, who are just working so hard behind the scenes. And all of those at the Buckminster Fuller Institute, especially Amanda Joy Ravenhill, and I. She was the last person I saw before lockdown. We ran into each other on a train, and she told me about what was going to be with DSS, and I was like, put that in my head. And so that was exactly, we happened to run into each other on the subway, my last trip before we all locked down. So special thanks to Amanda Joy Ravenhill for just bringing it all together as part of this work. So you can definitely find out more at Regenera.art and at Regenera City, and definitely check out what you've seen from today at the Buckminster Fuller Institute Design Science Studio. Thanks for all of us, and have a great day. Please reach out if there's any way that we can collaborate and share this regenerative effort.
Thank you so much, Ivo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.